to Season 2 of Pasco Podcast, a series where we discuss leadership in public service. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the 550,000 plus residents of Pasco County, as represented by the Board of County Commissioners. It's through their trust and empowerment of our workforce and leadership team that we're able to bring you this podcast. We created this podcast to help public servants build leadership skills and leverage them for success by sharing the experiences of our peers.
Hi, I'm Dan Biles, and welcome to our 22nd episode of Pasco Podcast. Join us today from our Public Works team is Director Branford Adumuah. Got it? Did I get it? All right. I got one so far. And Engineering Manager Joseph Amoah.
Correct.
Oh, so I was like 2 for 2?
Yes.
All right. How about that?
You got it.
Starting off good.
Right.
Very well. Excellent. Right. Thanks. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And, I know the community really appreciates what y'all do because y'all have a really direct impact every day. So, kind of as we get started in this, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to Pasco.
Okay, thank you, Dan. I came to Pasco from another place, local government, where I was the Director of Public Works. And it happened that it was almost 3 hours from where, my family was. So right. It was a way of coming to this area. And knowing that this is a county government, I haven't worked for a county government, and I thought, I should try that. And that is how I came to Pasco County.
Okay, so a little bit about yourself before.
Yes, so I'm a structural engineer by profession.
Okay.
I came to the United States, mainly to study civil engineering.
Okay.
And then got into management and leadership positions through the years.
Right.
And I've been there since for the past 25 years.
Yeah, so you're a structural engineer.
Yes.
I stayed away from structural because when you make a mistake in structural, stuff falls down.
Oh, I know, the bridges.
And on people, right?
Yeah.
Roads, stormwater, I can do that, but not the structural stuff.
Yes.
So, great. And so, and you're obviously not from Florida, so where'd you come from?
No, originally I'm from Ghana, West Africa.
Okay.
But then when I came to the States, I went to Iowa.
Iowa.
Iowa State University, where I got my bachelor's degree, and then went to Virginia Tech to get my master's.
Right.
And then from there, I came down to Florida.
Okay. All right.
Always wanted to come to Florida.
Always wanted to come. Well, the weather's a little nicer year round.
Exactly.
So, right.
Exactly.
Joseph?
Yes. So I'm a civil engineer by training. So I came to Pasco County from private sector. I work with Jones Edmonds.
Okay.
And before then, I work in, I came from the academic background. I work as an instructor, a professor at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville.
Okay.
My background, I had my master's and PhD program at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. And then, of course, my undergraduate degree from University of Science and Technology in Ghana. I come from the same country as Branford.
Oh, actually, okay.
I didn't know that when I hired him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, it's been great
right.
transitioning from, private sector and coming to government. But I've had an opportunity to work in different sectors. And it's very exciting to come to Pasco because, in the private sector, you work with, you do projects for your clients, right?
Right.
You don't get to interact with the citizens, but coming to local government is a great opportunity to work with the citizens. You see the smiles on their face once you get things done. So it is very encouraging and heartwarming to work in the local government.
Yeah, and y'all have a kind of a direct impact, right, in public works,
Yes.
roads, stormwater, from repairing potholes to repaving roads to cleaning ditches to big, we talked about capital projects and stormwater, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a direct impact on, the mission of serving our community. Yes. And so, and we were mentioning it this morning, I'm always surprised at how many people I run into here at Pasco that actually aren't from Pasco or even from the States, right? My first chief of staff was not from the States, right? And so it's interesting to see that and how we've kind of collected some of those over the year and even put them in leadership positions,
Right.
And so I thanks for being here. And, hopefully with 3 engineers around the table, we won't be too boring today. A little different from the, a baseball player over tourism and parks and recs and that kind of stuff. But hey, well, leadership is leadership, right?
Yes,
it's just
indeed.
a little different how we deal with things. So, so tell us a little bit about kind of your leadership philosophy. How do you lead people? How do you lead teams?
Okay, so My leadership philosophy actually are my basic belief system,
Right.
okay, which is founded on core values.
Right.
Yeah, integrity, respect, and empathy. And that shapes my decision making and my actions. For example, I believe everybody is talented one way or the other, and giving the right opportunity and being put in the right place, you get the best out of people. And therefore, people should be allowed to do their work, to make the determinations, and to just be guiding them. So I always liken developing people, leading people to an orchestra that everybody is playing the part of their music. You cannot play mine well,
Right.
I can't play yours well, but together we make a very good music.
Right.
So it's mainly developing the talents in people and leading people. So that is my leadership philosophy.
Now, that's a great analogy to an orchestra.
Yes.
Yeah. Although you wouldn't want me in your orchestra at all. So
You be number one.
All right. To me, leadership is what I call interlayer.
okay.
Interlayer. Interlayer to me is an acronym for integrity, for loyalty, for empathy, and respect. Okay. Integrity, being honest, right? Doing the right thing when nobody is watching, standing up for the right thing, making mistakes and learning from them. That is what integrity and being honest means to me. Being loyal to my team members, being loyal to the mission and the goal of what we are trying to accomplish as a team and as an organization. It also means being, empathetic, putting myself in my team members' shoes, listening to them carefully, genuinely being concerned, being present for them, understanding their situations, being very mindful of their situation to make sure that I can be able to help empathize with them and address their concerns. Also, being a leader, my leadership philosophy is also being respectful, respecting others. I treat others the way I want to be treated, being polite, being kind, being generous, not being very, not being interruptive with people when people are speaking, being very respectful to people's, opinion, watching my body language, my tone, the way I speak, because sometimes your body gestures and language may sense wrong signals to people, and the people may see it as being very disrespectful. So I always stand to being very respectful in every situation that I find myself, treating all people fairly, irrespective of their race, their age, or, color, wherever they come from. I treat people all fairly and equally. Also, my leadership philosophy is also being very trustworthy, trusting people, really. I trust people. I believe in the team and what we are working towards. I value hard work. I value integrity. I value loyalty. And I feel like those are the ingredients that as a leader you need to have. And those are the leadership that I embody. To me as a leader, I want to be able to leave a legacy. All right. I want to be able to inspire people, inspire people so that they will have a better life for themselves and for their families, and to be able to make a positive impact in their life. And I've had this go on, follow me, a proven record of showing exemplary leadership by basically having impact on people's life and bringing change. And that is very heartwarming. Right. So that has been my key leadership, philosophy and principles.
Oh, that's great. And y'all both mentioned empathy.
Yes.
Which is interesting coming from engineers.
Yes.
Right? Because we generally are not thought of as connected to emotions and connected to that side. And my family may argue I'm still not necessarily connected very well to some of that. But how does empathy play a role in what you do? I mean, your numbers, it's construction.
Yes.
That field is also not known for being connected to their emotions, right?
Yes.
How does empathy play a role in what you do from a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So, I didn't realize that I had it in me. Okay. I feel my empathy is natural. Okay. It's always been in me. I think something that I believe I was born with, but I didn't know that until I I got into public service. I had the opportunity and the benefit of other leaders. And I realized that talent I had was able to bring it out of me. So with that, the way that I deal things with, I care. Okay, I can easily put myself in other people's shoes. It's not very difficult for me. So, for example, when a homeowner calls me and says, "Well, my home is flooding and all that," okay, I know that I'm also a homeowner. I feel what he or she is feeling. I'm not just going to give him the technical, response. Well, this is where you are on our priority list. We can't do this because we haven't had SwiftMart grants and all that. I'm not going to say that. So it helps me deal with people, understanding them and feeling their pain, and usually most people, when they see you are empathetic, you may not solve the issue for them, but it helps them handle the situation better than if you didn't show any empathy and you just keep repeating the standard, terms and letting them know certain things. So that is what has helped me be a leader that I am. Yes.
So it's interesting you say engineers. We are engineers, right? So all we deal with numbers, technicals. But once as an engineer, you are trusted into a leadership position. Okay, you are dealing with human beings.
Right.
You are managing people. So you put yourself in their position, right? They go through situations. Everybody goes through circumstances in life. And if you don't try to put yourself in other people's shoes, like Branford has said, it's very easy to ignore. You cannot be all about outcome, production, and leave out the people that you're working. They are not machines. They are humans. They are emotional characters, all right? So you need to be able to, as a leader, I believe that you must be very sensitive to people's emotions and do your best to be able to address them, because if you're in leadership position, or if you're a leader and you ignore people's emotions, or you're unempathetic to them, basically you are creating a very unconducive work environment. They don't feel happy to do the job because all you care for is just the work being done. But really, in order for them to do a good job, you need to create a very conducive work environment. You'll be able to hear them out. Why are they late? Why are they unable to come to work? Why are they not producing? Instead of just focusing on production, the resource. If their results is not coming, as a leader, you need to understand what is behind it, what is underneath it. And once you get to understand that, I think it helps you to better guide them, able to provide everything they need in order for them to execute and do the work they do. So I feel like as a leader, you must have this empathy. You must have a heart, really, in managing people.
No, that's great. That's...
Can I mention something? Yeah. I had a mentor, once who she told me, she said, you can never be successful as a leader if you don't have this and you don't have that.
Right.
If you use any one of them only, you are bound to fail.
Right.
So as Joseph is saying, you can't always use the head and this is what needs to be done. You need to feel the people. Obviously, you can't always feel the people. Then you're not going to get anything done, right? Because, always you show so much empathy that, so you need those two to be able to be a good leader.
Right. Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. So as you were starting out your career and growing in your career, when did you kind of realize you wanted to start leading others and be in a leadership role?
Okay. It's very interesting. You want to go?
No, you go.
Okay, it's very interesting. Interesting question. So, reflecting back on my life, right from grade school, first grade, I was made a class president. So throughout grade school, I was class president. When I got to high school, I became the president of the Red Cross Society. And then through college, I became the national president of the Ghana Engineering Students Association. And then even I became the national president for the National Society of Black Engineers. So what I see is it looks like leadership comes to me naturally, right? It's become a natural trait, really, for me, because I think I'm somebody who is able to galvanize, bring people together to pursue a common cause, a common agenda, a common goal. And I think, it just flow out of me naturally.
That is true, really.
Yeah.
His history, and even since he's been here for the short time, I've seen him in action. I'm saying, one of the best highs, that he has this natural leadership ability. He just has picked up everything so quickly that when I was coming, I didn't pick it up that fast, So, and unlike him, I didn't have all that. I was thrust into leadership.
Right. Okay.
Reluctantly.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So
not here.
Not here. Not here. That was in Virginia when I worked for the city of Virginia Beach. But I was in the private business, private area. And somebody told me that, there was an opening in local government, and when I applied, I was an engineer. I'm happy to just be a structural engineer, designing my bridges. And I had another mentor who thought he saw something in me. I didn't believe him at that time. So he gave me the opportunity, put a number of people under me. And looking back at it, very embarrassing, for the first year or so, I didn't know what I was doing. But then about 2-3 years, I saw something coming out of me. The sort of things I talked about, the empathy, listening skills, the patience, the care in developing people. And that is how, after that, I didn't look back. I didn't go back to being a consulting engineer anymore. I just stayed in leadership position. I've been there for almost 25 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's, you talk about that, getting put in leadership position and not knowing what you're doing. The military takes the lieutenants and put them in leadership position, but everybody knows they don't know what they're doing, right? And that's part of the training process. Right. It's everybody's role to train them, so that they will know what they're doing.
Yes. And what helped me was the training and the guidance of my mentor, who was my boss.
Right.
So it's the training. I went to so many training programs. That's another local government, and then people, and then watching people I respect, who are leaders, and I realized that, hey, this has been in me. I didn't know, but now I think I like this business.
Right.
And I've been there since then.
Right. A little different than design bridges, right?
Oh, different than design bridges. It's tougher.
Yes, it is. Yes,
looking back at design bridges is very easy. Leading people is not. It's not easy.
The engineering rules are pretty standard,
strict,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, water runs downhill.
That's it. Put in the formula and done.
Yeah. So in terms of leadership, who's kind of been some big influences on your life and your style from a leadership perspective? Now, you've mentioned mentors over several times now.
There are three of them, okay? And the first one was a lady who hired me as a bridge administrator.
Okay.
Somewhere in the local government in Virginia. And her name is Patricia Bigler, and she had an impact on me, on who I am. And then the second person, when I was the director in Sarasota County, in the city, local government there, his name is Steve Crow. Okay. It's been almost about 10 years now. We still keep in contact. And then there's the third person by name Biles.
I don't know that guy.
Well, when I first came in here, I'm going to be 5 years here.
Right.
And you were right in here, and I walked in here, and I said, you are just like my mentor. Okay, the second mentor.
Right.
And I've been watching you and how you've been doing things in here. And I've told people that I like being in Pasco, and if I were to start it all again and you were here, that this is the place that I'm going to be. And that, I mean, anybody, who is here should stay here. Okay.
Right.
So those are the three in terms of leadership, because that is your way of doing things is the way I do things.
Right,
okay. And it's not exactly the same, but it's so similar.
Right.
Okay. And it makes me enjoy my job because, in the worst thing that can happen is you have a certain different leadership, approach, and then the person above you has something different. You can't stay.
Right.
You can't get your job done. It works when it flows from the top, and we get a whole lot of things done.
Yeah, and we have a really good team here.
Yes, we do.
So, I appreciate that.
It's true.
It's not all me; it's you. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
So,
No, and really to confirm indeed he speaks highly of you. Not only on one-on-one, in our management team, department management team meetings, because everything he shares, the values he shares, the core values he shares with us, he always says, "I went to the team leaders meeting, and it's the same thing that Dan was saying."
we talked beforehand, right? Yeah.
Okay, so for me, the two people have had great influence on my life. That's my dad.
Okay.
My dad epitomizes, it's an embodiment of integrity. My dad, and he's very persistent. And when he wants to get something achieved, he goes after it. Very, very optimistic person. He's a peacemaker. Okay, so I learned from that. So in my division, working with my team, I'm always striving to bring peace anytime there's conflict, and then also he's a people's person, very approachable. And I think I share the same qualities and values. Now, if I want to add, the second person that has had influence in my life is Branford. And not because he's here. And not because he's here, but because he provides such an illumination when it comes to what to look for when you're hiring people. Right? Branford is all about core values and talent, right? So it doesn't matter how technically savvy you are, right, in your field of endeavor. If you don't have the core values, if you are if you lack integrity, if you are unempathetic, if you are very disrespectful, a pathological liar, a micromanager, you won't have a place in Branford's organization, and I think those are good traits. When I joined the department of Pasco County, he always talks about, core values. When you're hiring, hire for core values and talent. Experience comes second. It took me a while to understand that. But I'm a quick learner. So I was able to pick up one or two times, and then it hit me hard. I said, indeed, that is very true. Because why? You could get somebody, an engineer, who is technically savvy, can do all the models, but if that person is a pathological liar, if that person is very disruptive, it doesn't help the entire organization. So yes, we look at experience, all right, experience is valuable, but that is not the primary. And so I've learned from him that core values, people with integrity, people who are honest, people who are very respectful, who are empathetic, those are the teams. It's about the teamwork. It is about outcome. He always talking about outcome and not the money. No, don't talk about money. Focus on outcome. Focus on teamwork. So I've learned within the past 3 years, I've learned tremendously from him. And he's brought what was in me. I had those values, but he basically outlined it to me, and it's helped me a lot since I joined Pasco.
No, that's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, none of us set this up, right? No. Well, yeah, I love the conversation, because we put a lot of emphasis on our mission, vision, and values, right?
Yes.
We all know what our mission is. We know what the vision of the board is, and our values, right? Integrity, respect, service excellence, and innovation. And when you look at the employee surveys, the employee engagement surveys, and pick out their word clouds, the ones that pop out on a positive basis are our core values. So we're not only talking about it, we're actually living to a large extent our core values, because otherwise it wouldn't show up like that.
Exactly.
So that's a credit to the people out like y'all out there on a day-to-day basis, working with the different teams and crews. So,
and Dan, can I say something though? So it's for the reason why it makes my job here really how much I like it, because I had those things in me, and then when I came in here, I look at the Pascos right there, and I saw those core values in there. you know, and it's not only in writing, but it's practiced,
right?
You know, so those things are very, very important,
right? And that's the key, practice,
yes,
right?
Yes,
because Enron had great core values.
Yes,
in fact, they were laid in the floor in their headquarters, right? But they didn't practice.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
You know, so great. No, I appreciate that. Any lessons on leadership you'd like to share? Some successes, challenges that you've seen over your career?
Yes, and I've seen so many of them, but I'll take one number of experiences since I've been in Pasco. I think leadership, it's not easy, okay? And, you know, it requires a lot of patience. It doesn't mean you say it one time and then it's done, especially when you are trying to change an organization culture, okay? It takes a while for that to change. And sometimes you see somebody that you hire for a certain position, and then you realize certain leadership quality in them. So you try to guide them and all that. Sometimes you fail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's happened to me a number of times. Mm-hmm. But the success has been more than the failure.
Right.
So it's not an exact science, you know, that in leading people that there's no formula to that. Okay, there's that sometimes a feeling of what it is, and you may go wrong in making certain decisions with respect to leadership, but you still have to keep going because there are more successes than failures.
Right. No, that's good. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so to me, successes in leadership and challenges, being humble. Okay, being humble in leadership. You know, when you are trusted into leadership and you are very successful, okay, you get all the accolades and great things. And if you don't take time, you start becoming very proud, you know, exhibiting sense of pride and all that, and being egoistic. But I've seen that the best leaders are always humble. Okay, the best leaders, for them, it is more about the influence and impact, right, that they have on people, and not be just being very authoritative. Okay, so what I've learned from that is that, you know, when we are successful as a team, you know, I don't tend to take the credit. I give the credit to the team. And I think it emboldens the team. It helps the team to work even much harder because, again, it's not about the leader alone. And I see that the more I give credit, you know, I give credit to my team, the more they work harder. So, for example, you know, we had a presentation that I gave, you know, I went with a commissioner to a community to present a presentation. This presentation was put together by a team member, right? And I went there and I delivered it excellently, you know, and I was getting all the praises for it. But I was quick to let them know, and the team member know, that it's all about him. He did really all the work, right, you know, so that emboldens that team leader. So the next time I had an opportunity to present, he couldn't wait to put a very beautiful, powerful presentation. So I think as a leader, learning to be very humble, all right, knowing that your role is to guide, your role is to provide guidance, helps, you know, your team members, you know, it basically inspires them to work more and to do better. That's one of the lessons. And also, one of the lessons is learning to be what do you call it? One of my lessons being vulnerable. Okay. Right? Yeah, you know, being not afraid to be vulnerable. You know, some people don't have the intestinal fortitude to say I'm wrong. Right? Some leaders are very, very proud. They can't say I'm wrong, you know, or if they make mistakes, they don't want to admit it. And they are very, very, they become immune to criticisms. But, you know, but I am somebody that I learn a lot, you know. I like positive feedback, and I learn from criticisms, because that's the way you become very, very effective. Okay, and so that is, and the other one is what Branford alluded to, mentioned about, you know, the guidance. You know, we live in a constantly changing environment. Things are changing in the workplace. You know, the culture is changing in the workplace, and basically sometimes it takes a lot of work to get a buy-in from your team. right? We are changing the culture in the workplace, and some people are stuck in their old ways of doing things. This is all they know, and they don't want any change. They are not open to change. Right. So the challenge becomes, bringing them along, getting their buy-in into the new culture and the new way of doing things. And I think we are doing very well in the department in bringing people along.
Usually those people are very good at what they do.
Yes.
But then, they just, with a new change, they are not going anywhere. So you value them. We value them because they are extremely very good at what they do.
Right. I'm just think back to 5 years ago when you got here, you came into a department that was used to being told no all the time, and then 2, telling people no.
Yes.
I mean, that was basically public works.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. That was the culture.
It was, okay, how do we not do something?
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah.
You're right. And so you've had to make a tremendous change in that organization over the last 5 years.
Yes.
And y'all have done a great job doing that.
Thank you.
So,
yes.
So as you continue to grow in your leadership skills, how do you continue to develop yourself, both professionally and personally?
Well, I've realized that it's never too late to learn something new in your life. Even I'm still learning from my 7-year-old as to how to drive. Right. Okay, really, he's always telling me, where I should turn and whether I'm speeding too much. So, the growth in my leadership is just being open-minded enough to listen to anybody. And that's the way I grow. I listen to the team leaders meeting. I listen, I learn. I don't come into the meeting thinking I know it all. After all these years, even somebody who may not be at my title level, I listen to them, and I've learned many things from my operations managers, from my maintenance workers in my life, and I still apply some of these things that I learned in putting out my leadership. So it's continuous learning, keeping an open mind. Don't shut your mind. Don't be arrogant enough to think you know it all. My belief is that nobody knows it all. Right. So that is how I grow. Also, you go to conferences, you listen, you read, you watch things, and then you draw your own conclusion, and you learn and you grow.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I share a very similar sentiment in terms of my growth. Remaining disciplined, I try to be very disciplined, be cautious of time and all that, and making sure I'm more punctual, being a good listener, okay? Be quick to listen and slow to speak, rather than interrupting people. So I'm learning to be patient, control myself and make sure I hear the other point of view before I put mine across, having opportunity, failures, right? Not learning from failures. To me, failures are very, very educative too. People see failures as bad, but for me, I learn from mistakes. So I'm not afraid to make mistakes. And once I make mistakes, I learn from it, and I strive not to repeat the same mistakes. So those are the things, and like Branford is saying, you're attending conferences, listening to talks and things like that. It helps, me to be self-improve, be a better communicator, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Coming into this, knowing that, we're going to be talking public works and engineering and 3 engineers in the room. Who would have thought we'd spend most of the time talking about, different aspects of our emotional being, right? Empathy, you mentioned humility, and then courage, right? And the ability to be vulnerable, which you can't be vulnerable without courage to be vulnerable, right? It's not necessarily what you expect when you get 3 engineers in a room, right?
I know. The reputation of engineers, it's just inconsistent with that.
There you go. Well, I appreciate both of you being here today. And so I got a few questions now. This is more so people kind of get a sense of who you are and what you're doing. So first one, I'm going to start with dawn or dusk. You a morning person, evening person?
I'm a morning person.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm an evening person. Okay. Stay up late.
Okay. There we go. All right. What's your favorite season? I know we're in Florida. We have 2 seasons, summer and not summer. But what's your favorite season?
Wow. I'll say summer.
Okay.
Because I've lived through, in the Midwest, the winter and all that. And
Iowa.
I've left that behind, So, I like this weather.
Well, I prefer the cold rather than sweating.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, don't get a whole lot of that here. But,
Yeah, right.
Although this morning was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Low 60s this morning. What place you got next on your list to travel? What place you want to travel to most? What are you looking forward to? Trip.
Paris.
Okay.
Paris, yeah. My wife, we want to go. Hopefully, when we have our 20th anniversary, we want to go to Paris.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to visit the Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, that area, Sweden and Finland.
Okay, those are cold.
Yes, they are cold, But I've promised the family, that one day we'll go out there, Well, we're going to go in the summer. It's still cold, but just to see that area,
Oh, yeah, that'd be. Yeah, my son spent some time in Norway with the Marines a few years back.
Always wanted to go to those areas. Norway, Finland, Sweden.
Well, that's interesting. Those aren't always on people's lists, but that's interesting.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a TV question. The Office TV show, right? Or Parks and Rec? Have you seen them? Which one do you prefer?
The Office TV show.
I've not seen
any of them. There we go. All right.
I've not seen any of them.
Check them out on Netflix. They're really funny.
Okay.
So,
on Netflix, okay. Yeah, my wife watches Netflix a lot, so I'll check it out.
No, they're really good. But they're different. But Parks and Rec is, you would think, okay, that's some local government stuff. Because that's what it is, right? But The Office, Steve Carell is another level of funny too. So tea or coffee? Tea?
Yeah.
Is that cultural?
The British. Ghana was colonized by the British. Tea, we drink tea in the morning, afternoon, at night before we go to sleep. Tea every time.
Yes. So it used to be tea, like he said, because of the British influence. But then I married somebody from Latin America. Okay. So now it's coffee. Yeah, Colombian coffee.
Colombian coffee.
Yeah. So it's been for 19 years. That's all that I've been drinking.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Well, hey, I appreciate both of you being here, Branford and Joseph. I really appreciate it. This was a very enlightening discussion. I've enjoyed it. It was great to have you both here. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Pasco Podcast. I'm Dan Biles, and until the next one.
For more information on Pasco County government, please visit mypasco.net and check us out on Facebook and Twitter.